5 Live.
Now on BBC1, Manish Bhasin presents Late Kick-Off.
Tonight, with Leicester champions, are Derby also bound for the Premier League, while Birmingham City's relegation fears have suddenly become very real. Welcome to Late Kick-Off. Coming up tonight, can Birmingham City avoid the drop? This goal against Leeds proved too little too late as they fell into the bottom three. We've been on the road with the Blue Noses.
Who knows what's going to happen today? You can never predict it.
And as Leicester celebrate the Championship title, Derby look to win home advantage for the first leg of the playoffs, while Shrewsbury are relegated.
It's goodbye Wolves, hello Dagenham, goodbye Sheffield United, hello Mansfield.
Well, as you can see, they've packed into the Late Kick-Off terraces yet again. Welcome to our very own supporters crew. If anyone has the answers to the promotion and relegation mysteries, it's a man in the thick of it. Bromsgrove-born Burton manager who's also played for the Brewers, Derby, Blues and Leicester, Gary Rowett. Good to see you, Gary. Naturally, our mascot this week had to be Leicester's finest. Please put your hands together for Philbert the Fox. You couldn't help yourself, could you? Well, we start with Leicester then, as they clinched the title last week with this goal at Bolton from Lloyd Dyer, which was a cue then for massive celebrations. And after winning yet again on the road at Huddersfield this weekend with goals from Gary Taylor-Fletcher and Wes Morgan, they're now on a club record 99 points for the season. Gary, I mean, it's hard to imagine the season to have gone much better for the Foxes.
That's been an amazing season, hasn't it? After the last season where, you know, there was a little bit of speculation around that Nigel might not have been the person to take them forward, and I think the owners realised that, you know, the continuity would be the better thing. He's been brilliant, you know, he's been fantastic, he's experienced, you know, he's sorted the team out, brought some excellent players in, some very good foreign players with real quality about them, a little bit of experience and some good young British players as well.
And you look at Pearson's record, incidentally, that's 2 league titles and 2 playoff campaigns. He's got over a 50% winning ratio in his 4 years in charge. As a manager yourself, how impressive are those figures?
Well, that's astonishing to do it over that period of time, you know, to do it for a season maybe, you know, that can be done, you know, but to do it 4 years running and to have 2 promotions within that, you know, I think he's done a brilliant job, and again, a club's benefited from that continuity and having a little bit of faith in the man in charge.
And finally, briefly, wholesale changes or stick to what they've got at the King Power Stadium?
I think they'll stick to what they've got. I think Nigel's alluded to that already. I think they'll need to add little bits to it to improve again, because, you know, you can't stand still, certainly. But I think they've got the core of a side that could go and compete quite well in the Premier League.
Well, at the other end of the Championship table, Birmingham fans have been watching in horror as the Second City Blues have tumbled down the league. Saturday's game against Leeds, the latest home defeat, extending that winless home run to 17.
Got some defending to do here, and Smith has planted his header in the corner. The crisis could just be growing. Smith the scorer. Blues 0, Leeds 1. Lees now with a free kick towards Smith on the edge of the area. Infield towards the chance, and it's 2-0. It's 2 in no time at all. It's Pugh with the left foot who drills it home. It's typical of Birmingham City in recent home games. If they concede 1, they concede 2. McCormack up towards the edge of the penalty area, has Smith with him. Will he try and create for himself? Oh, and it's an own goal. It's turned in by Cadiz, and that is the ultimate low blow for Birmingham City today. They're going to be in the bottom 3 as things stand. Cadiz on the right-hand side finds Scott Allen, who switched flanks. Good ball forward towards Makeda. Makeda into the penalty area. Oh, good finish from Makeda. Surely too little, too late. 7.5 to go. Blues 1, Leeds 3.
And they've got a vital match against Wigan tomorrow. Thanks to goal difference, the Blues need 4 points from the final 2 games to be sure of survival. If they recreated their away form at St Andrews, they would have been just outside the playoffs as things stand. As a result, well, the atmosphere on the road couldn't be more different. And Davo, a Blues fanatic, takes his video camera to most, if not all, away games. So if you've never understood the passion of being an away fan, you might after watching this.
Yo, listen up, here's the story.
Shepherd's Bush Market.
And a blue Corvette, and everything is blue for him.
Excuse me, how much is this? £2. £1 in Birmingham, this is. Rip off. This man's about to be famous. He doesn't know anything about the championship, but he's going to give us a prediction. Millwall against Blues today. What do you reckon?
2-0.
To who?
For Millwall.
For Millwall?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Well, what an end of a fantastic night. I haven't stopped screaming, I haven't stopped biting my nails. Fantastic performance by the boys today. Let's hope they can repeat it at home on Saturday. Come on, you Blues!
Come on, you Blues!
I think we were fantastic. We've done a job. We needed 3 points. Fantastic 3 points. Could be 3 points that keeps us up.
A bit murky down there, look at that. Wouldn't want to swim in there. I don't know where Wigan are in the table, but I'm confident we're going to win today. What do you reckon today, Debbie?
Well, the way we're going, 7 unbeaten, but too many draws for my liking. It's got to be an away day win again. It's lovely, sun shining again. Always shines on the righteous. Keep right on, Blues.
Lovely. Here we are in Leeds. What do you reckon then today?
It'll be a tough, scrappy game. I think Leeds need the result rather than performance. I wouldn't mind a 1-1, to be honest. Come on, you Blue boys.
Kenny's here. What's the score going to be today? 4-1. You reckon it's 4-1 Blues today?
Hideous mother-in-law, typical mother-in-law, but she did this for me. So, the best thing she did for me in her life.
You got a prediction for me today?
Yeah, Blues 2-1.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And any good?
They're the best in the country.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, Blues away and good fish and chips, can't beat it.
2-1 Blues.
2-1.
No problem, Davo.
At half-time at Barnsley, and we're winning by 3 goals to 0, which makes the 24-hour trip from Melbourne in Australia quite worthwhile.
It's like when Jesus came back to life. It's that sort of shot. 3-0 at half-time against away from home. It's all good. Work. I love him.
Who knows what's going to happen today? You can never predict it.
I'll tell you what, there are a few people in the studio feeling a little bit threatened, like these cameramen round here. Davo's here with us today. It looks like the atmosphere between home games and away games couldn't be more different.
You're absolutely right. We've had a great time away from home this season. Great support, some great days, and at home, obviously, it's just been pure misery.
2 games left. How fearful are you that you might not even get that win?
I'm very fearful of it. I mean, we haven't won at home since, is it, October?
October the 1st.
And for any club in any division, that is a really, really poor record. And to be honest, with that sort of record, you probably deserve to go down. Maybe that's what we need, rebuild, and then come back up.
Do you really mean that, though?
I can't see any way out for us at the moment. I mean, we've got Wigan at home tomorrow. I can't see anything from that, to be honest. I can maybe see a point at Derby, but it's dependent on the other results as well, really, then. I just can't see 3 points coming out of the last 2 games.
David, you agree?
Yeah, I'm not confident at all. But there's one thing I can say that might save us. There's a man here that we'd like as our next manager. Maybe get him in before tomorrow night.
I'm OK, thanks. Oh, you're talking about him? You're not his agent, are you?
Gary Rowett. Get him in.
Yeah, obviously, ex-Blue. All right, OK, now look, I've got to ask you, looking at Lee Clark, has it got to the point now with some of the... I mean, there are a lot of fans who are questioning his team selection. He's bringing back Scott Allen after 8 months. Hayden Mullin's been recalled as well, which hasn't gone down particularly well with Notts County fans. Is it a case of not being able to see the woods from the trees when you're under so much intense pressure?
Yeah, I think, firstly, it's very difficult to judge someone unless you stood in their shoes and you know what's behind, the structure of the club. But I think, like you say, by changing the team a lot, sometimes it's desperation to try to do that, trying to find the winning formula. Sometimes the more you change it, the further away from what you're looking for.
Yeah, is it like a love final throw of the dice almost?
I think it is, and I think the problem you get sometimes, the more you change it, the more the players think, are we sure really of what our best team is, and the more uncertainty that creates. And there's one thing you need with the last 2 games is just a little bit of stability, a little bit of trust in the players, and just hope they can somehow get the club over the line. Because it's an amazing club. Anyone who's been involved in it, it's a terrific club.
Yeah.
Huge club, could be. Whether it will be, in the next few years, we'll wait to be seen.
Yeah, fingers crossed that they can do it. So to Derby then, and a semi-final place coming up in the playoffs. They took on Watford this weekend, and it was a good win. They're back amongst the goals, are Derby, and in a big way. 5 consecutive wins. They actually went behind, but a Jeff Hendricks strike and an equaliser meant that they were level at half-time. 3 second-half goals then followed, first from Craig Forsyth, then this one from Chris Martin, another then from Hendrick, clinched a 4-1 home win. They mean business at the minute.
They do, yeah. They've got a really good balance at the moment. They're not conceding a lot of goals. They pass the ball really, really well through midfield. I think that's their big strength, Derby. You look at a lot of the goals come from the midfield trio, if you like. And they've got lots of really good attacking options. And with a manager in Steve, with the experience of being in these situations before, I'm sure they're going to be really, really positive in these playoff games.
Incidentally, that win means they've equalled the club's record points total. Few would have predicted that could happen at the start of the season. Since the American owners have restructured the management on and off the pitch, Derby have been the surprise package of the campaign and potentially 3 games away from Wembley. So how have they done it? Natalie Jackson has been finding out.
We're walking at one of the highest points in Derbyshire today to talk about the rise of the Rams, which seems appropriate.
It's quite a steep climb, isn't it?
It is.
Sam Rush and John Vickers are the 2 men behind what Steve McLaren calls the innocent climb.
It's been a very good season, and I think all those that have contributed deserve huge credit, particularly Steve and the players who've been magnificent.
They run Derby County and are the face of the American owners.
Spectacular view.
It's incredible, isn't it? I'm not sure whether this weather's getting better or worse.
Mam Tor is one of the most dramatic viewpoints in the Peak District. Like the Rams this season, a wonder of the East Midlands. But how have they steered Derby up the table, and will they and us reach the top?
It's no fluke that the fans have been more engaged. You've done a lot of work to try and talk to the fan base again, haven't you?
The gates were dropping, and I think we had one scare where we thought we might even drop below 20,000 for a Tuesday night game.
We're nearly at the top. How will it feel if Derby reach the top and gets that Premier League in the playoffs?
Absolutely huge for football clubs, for the city of Derby and for the county of Derbyshire.
When you watch a game from afar, you think it's all about the team on the pitch, which of course it is to a large extent. But I think this season, more than anything in the Championship, has highlighted those clubs that have got issues off the pitch. They can't perform on the pitch.
No.
So if you can get it sorted on the pitch, then you give yourself the best possible chance.
Do you feel quite protective over the owners?
Unlike a lot of owners of football clubs up and down the country, they've not run away when things weren't going well, or they were getting the brickbats, and I think they deserve a huge amount of credit.
To dry out, we headed back down to discuss the impact of McLaren and the key players. Derby have consistently been in the top 4 since November. Only champions Leicester have scored more goals this season.
We've had 5 very difficult and very disappointing years, both on and off the pitch. And I think the owners shared the view that something needed to give, something needed to change. And obviously they brought Sam in to be effectively the catalyst for that change. Sam looked after the football and made the change last September, and I obviously looked at the other areas of business and we effected some changes there.
But at the Championship level, the establishment of relationships with Premier League clubs is key, and the quality of the loans, I think, has been huge, and people like Andre and Patrick and George, I think, have made a huge difference to the team. But now we're looking to move forward and really to be one of the elite clubs in English football again.
They're on their way, and so were we, after a great day undeterred by the wet and the rain. And if this bedraggled lot can reach the top, surely Derby can.
Whose idea was this, Nathan?
I blame the producer. So if you are celebrating at the end of May, will you come back up here with us, hopefully in better weather?
Only if you check the weather forecast beforehand.
Yeah, in the summer.
I thought it was the summer.
Yeah, so did I.
Thanks to Natalie Jackson for that report. Nice insight as to what goes on in the boardroom. I mean, Danny, you're a big Derby County fan. John Vickers and Sam Rush, both involved as chief exec and CEO at the club, and they went to the pubs locally to speak to the fans. What did you make of that move?
Fantastic. Very approachable guys. Very brave to get out there front and centre in front of pubs full of Derby fans who have a pint. And I think it says a lot about them.
You've secured 3rd place now, and clearly you are the team not to face in the playoffs now.
No, we're not. Nobody frightens us. We can beat everybody. We're on form. We're scoring goals for fun. No way why we shouldn't get promoted.
Jack, how confident are you then of getting through the playoffs?
I'm pretty confident because the way we're scoring goals for fun and defensively we're quite solid at the back. And it's not just the amount of goals we're scoring, it's the way we're playing before we're scoring the goals and the amount of opportunity we're having to score even more goals. Like Watford at the weekend, we scored 4, but it could have easily been 7 or 8.
Yeah. OK, for now, thanks very much indeed. Of course, all the very best for the playoffs. Well, Nottingham Forest season, meanwhile, the storyline has seen more twists and turns than a TV soap opera. A latest piece, of course, is that they were in the playoff places not that long ago, but it is now out of reach. The weekend defeat at Bournemouth was the final nail in the coffin. This was the consolation goal then from Greg Halford. They were 2 down by then. Gary, what a disappointment, the way their season has just fallen flat.
Well, I think it's been a very, very strange end to the season for Forest, hasn't it? To appoint a manager in Stuart Pearce, which I'm sure will be a very good appointment, but to have done it and then not for Stuart to take the reins, obviously he had his own reasons for that, but I think that must have created some real instability amongst the players, the current staff there, but no, they're not going to necessarily be in charge or maybe in the same jobs next season. And I don't think that's been a particularly good move, really, for the club.
All right, well, staying in the city, Notts County, famous for one recent great escape, may well be staging another. Well, bottom with just 31 points a few weeks back, Sean Derry's men have won 6 from the last 8 games, the latest against Swindon at the weekend. Goals from Alan Sheehan early in the first half, and then Callum McGregor on 90 minutes won it for them. It's been a sensational effort from Sean Derry's men.
It has, yeah. When he got the job, I don't think there'd have been too many people that would have envied him too much because it looked a very, very difficult task. Another big club that really needs to rekindle the past a little bit. But I think they started quite poorly, didn't they? I think they lost something like 5 out of the first 7 games, and you just looked at them and it looked as though they're going to be dead and buried. But he's retained his belief. He's kept positive. Some of the players, he's got them back playing really, really well. Jamal Campbell-Rice has been a massive,
Jimmy Spencer's been amongst the goals.
Jimmy Spencer again. Some of those players have been really, really good for them in these last 6 games, and it just shows you once you can create that little bit of momentum, you know, a little bit of belief in the fans, a little bit of belief in the players, and they've really kind of kept on that wave.
They only need a draw at Oldham to secure their safety, which has been a terrific turnaround. It just goes to show what happens if you stick by your manager.
Absolutely, yeah, and I hope that, you know, the fight that they've shown and the commitment that they've shown, I hope that they get it. And I think what you would say is if Sean Derry can get through this season and keep Notts County in division, then, you know, as a young manager, that'll be an absolutely massive learning curve for him to take forward.
And as you know, because you've only recently become a Football League manager yourself, that's the last thing you want on your CV in your first job is relegation against your name.
Well, that's it. Your career's over in management. That's simple. You know, you take a job, it's your first job, you've got to make it a success. 9 times out of 10, first-time managers who don't succeed, you know, don't come back into the game, and I think it's a harsh situation, but, you know, everybody knows it, and everyone's got to make the best of that first opportunity.
Well, elsewhere in League One, Shrewsbury's defeat against Peterborough doomed them to relegation. They took the lead after 6 minutes with a John Taylor goal before Tom Bradshaw second, but the Shrews back in it, only for a 4th Peterborough goal to clinch the 3 points. And just listen how sad does the commentator Stuart Dunn sound here.
The chance for Croyd for a 4th, and he has. It's 4-2 to Peterborough. Down's relegation is most certainly confirmed now. It's goodbye Wolves, hello Dagenham, goodbye Sheffield United, hello Mansfield. Shrewsbury relegated at Greenhouse Meadow. Shrewsbury 2, Peterborough 4.
Sad day then for the Shrewsbury faithful. We've got a family of Shrews here in the studio, including Cian. Cian, great to have you in. How did it feel then after what happened on Saturday?
Well,
it was a struggle, wasn't it?
yeah.
It's been goals. Has that been the one major problem for you this season?
Yeah.
Yeah? OK, well, look, good luck with, of course, next season in League Two. Nigel, what happens now in the summer? Is it all about wholesale changes? Is it about maybe giving Mike Jackson a second bite at the cherry?
Well, in his interview after the match, he was saying that he doesn't know who's going to take over, but the way he was talking as though he sort of knows he's going to be there. Big wholesale changes, commitment he was talking about, and too many loan players, 20 this season. You're not going to get anywhere with that. Some of them have been OK, some of them, you know, mediocre, but you just fear shades of Graham Turner at Hereford with all the loan players. I just hope it doesn't follow the same suit next season.
Hope you bounce back soon.
And me.
So to Walsall, a disappointing result really. It already relegated Stevenage at the weekend. These are the Walsall goals then from full-back Mal Benning. That put the sides level. Craig Westcar put them ahead before 2 goals from already relegated Stevenage sent the Saddlers home unhappy. Their season disintegrated in the final third, didn't it?
Yeah, but you'd have to ask the question why. I think first and foremost, you know, with a budget that I would imagine they've got there, Dean Smith's done a terrific job over 2 seasons now. You know, they've got a lot of players there that have not done brilliantly well at like League Two level, and they've brought them in and they've got the best out of them. They play terrific football, some would argue, as well as any team plays in League One. And you maybe think that, you know, it's just that lack of funds that stops them getting over the line or stops them breaking into those playoffs. But I think they should be really positive about the season they've had.
And I suppose for the final game, Dean Smith in a final push, isn't it, to get into the top 10 at the very least? They're 2 points off it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what he'll be saying to the players. You know, that'll be a good achievement for them to build again. I think that, you know, if Walsall stay in Division 1, I know that sometimes might sound a little bit of lack of ambition from outside the club, but if they stay in League 1, I think that's a success, and anything better than that, then that's brilliant for them.
And it just goes to show the high standards they've set for themselves in recent seasons. Now, there was a local affair at Sixfields as Coventry and Wolves played out a West Midlands derby.
Ball through the centre, Edwards couldn't get it, but it's headed away only to Dicko, and now Sacco from the left puts the ball in. Edwards! Oh, what a hot streak Dave Edwards has been on to help usher Wolves to promotion, and he's still adding to it. Free kick from Marshall, and there's an equaliser by Delfonso. With a glancing finish from right in front of the goalkeeper, swung in from the left-hand side, and just a flick off the forehead makes it 1-1.
William and Liam are here. They're both Coventry City fans. At the end of it, other results meant that you were safe anyway. But job done as far as Stephen Presley is concerned, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a huge sense of relief for me personally by saying that a few weeks back since our last away win at Crewe on March the 29th, we've looked more lacklustre and we haven't looked very good, and I was starting to fear relegation was coming due to the other results, as they like Notts County on the Great Escape. But ever since the transfer window, when we lost to Leon Clark, we were looking good.
Yeah.
Before then, looking for the playoffs, and we, even with the 10-point deduction, we were looking good for the playoffs.
Yeah.
But after he left, it seemed like he was pushing Callum Wilson up front to basically go on front on his own.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, the goals have dried up, and so have the points, really. But it's a huge sense of relief, and full credit to Presley and his players.
Definitely. Incidentally, well done to Callum Wilson getting to the PFA team of the year for that division. 5 of them in that 11 for Wolves.
Yeah, and it could have been more, really. I mean, there's a few players there that didn't get in. Goldborn, Stearman, you know, quality players throughout the team this season. You can't knock them to a man.
And Wolves eyeing the 101-point record in that division. Well, Port Vale played on Friday night, of course, and lost at home to Sheffield United. Vale will be happy with a comfortable mid-table finish. Gary, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they will. You know, having come up last season, you know, you always worry that they're going to be able to mix it in that division and stay in there. And that's the first and foremost a priority, I'm sure, this season for Mickey. I think what they've done is excellent. You know, they've been in and around the top 10, pushing the top half of the table. Little bit of instability again at that club, I think, just in terms, I think Mick, you know, I've read a little bit about
over his future,
over his contract, whatnot, which I'm sure hasn't helped. But I think they've done really, really well again.
Well, we're going to continue to monitor your suggestions for Midlands Manager of the Year, by the way. And on our last late kickoff, we'll be telling you who we've selected based on what you tell us. So do get tweeting. A reminder of our Twitter handle @LKOMids is how to get in touch with us. And so to League Two then, and no doubt who that Midlands Team of the Year are in this division. Not just because he's with me, but Burton Albion are in the playoffs, of course. That place was cemented a while ago. Their next game is against Southend. Now that you're in the playoffs, does the experience of being in there 12 months ago help, Gary?
I think it does. I think it, you know, we'll have learned from last season. Obviously, we had a tough playoff game against Bradford last year, which I think most teams would have wanted to avoid. I think we'll be stronger for that this year. We've got 5 or 6 players who were part of that team, and we've got another 5 or 6 who have experienced, you know, success in playoffs and promotion teams also. I think it's one thing, you know, we'll have learned from various ways of approaching the games, various tactics, and I think, yes, we're in a better position than we were last season.
Good luck with that, by the way.
Thank you.
Let's round up the rest of League Two with the goals from Cheltenham and Mansfield. Mansfield beaten at home to Torquay. Matt Reed scoring this consolation. Torquay still relegated after that result, and a dismal day for Cheltenham, beaten by these 2 Rochdale goals. I think for both of them, safety assured by... well, by a long way, really, but a bit of disappointment in the process too.
For Cheltenham?
Yeah, well, maybe for Mansfield as well.
Well, I think both teams, you know, slightly different seasons. Mansfield started the season very, very well, and there was a lot of talk of them maybe getting promotion again, and I think maybe they all got a little bit carried away with that. Cheltenham were polar opposites, really, after 2 good seasons where they've made the playoffs. Started very poorly, and sometimes it's very hard to get out of that. I think they kicked on a little bit, and then I think Mark showed his frustration probably 5 or 6 weeks ago when he said, I just want the season to be over. And I think the players have probably took him literally with that one. But, you know, there'll be a relief when the final whistle goes, and I'm sure he'll be looking forward to next season.
OK, well, that's it from us. Congratulations to Telford, promoted from the Conference North as champions, and to Hereford, who we featured on Late Kickoff, you may remember, a few weeks back. They survived off the pitch, and on the pitch this weekend, they maintained their status on goal difference alone, thanks to an 88-minute strike. Talk about cutting it fine. Commiserations to Tamworth. They were relegated from the National Conference. OK, that's it. My thanks to Gary and to our supporters crew. If you could please do the honours, this is how you can get hold of us on Twitter @LKOMids or via Facebook, and tell us if you'd like to join us in the studio. And if you want to relive tonight's magic, we're on the iPlayer all week. We're back at the same time next week, but from all of us, good night.
The Champions League semi-finals reached their conclusions this week. Radio 5 Live has commentary on both games, Bayern Munich against Real Madrid tomorrow and Chelsea against Atletico Madrid on Wednesday.
If you like game shows with celebrities and exciting prizes, you're in luck.
Saturday night with Rob Brydon, The Guest List, 9:20 on BBC1. Eurovision is almost upon us, but if you can't wait, there's BBC Radio 2 Eurovision, our pop-up digital service. Find out how to tune in by going to the Radio 2